is at 9:05. Right here is where the Mountain Empire Community College is right now, right there.
So it's also in that warning zone.
All right, so that's for tornadic thunderstorm cell on the northern side of this severe weather. But also, we can do a track on the dangerous part of this storm in the central and moving into the south parts of Lee County too. So there's two tornadic cells. We just put a track on the one, and let me try that over.
Even outside the warning zones, I mean, I even hear it on the studio, we're still getting a lot of areas of rain, some heavy torrential areas of rain. So you will see that both of these cells, even if you happen to be just a little outside of the tornado couplet, you would still see some areas of heavy rain, and especially in the severe thunderstorm watch or the warning areas, still some winds potentially gusting to 60. Here's another estimate of those times that we're looking at. Blackwater 906, Canton around 913, Horton's Island 922, Okolona 930, Manville looks like 934, and then Mount Carmel, eventually if the storm holds together its current strength, Mount Carmel, Tennessee 945, eventually perhaps Kingsport 953.
And we kind of point out that that's from where that tornadic signature is right now.
Correct.
There's rain ahead of it, so you're probably raining pretty close now to Mount Carmel already, but this is not, we're not tracking that portion of the storm.
Correct.
So this is from the National Weather Service in Charleston, West Virginia, and flash flood warning has just been issued for Buchanan County and Dickinson County until midnight tonight. So let me pull back a little bit here. Of course, we had, you remember when we were, all right, so look at that. They really, all right, we'll have to touch, all right, let's just go quickly to why we have the flash flood warning now for, see if I can put that on there. There, so that, and the warning is for these two counties here, the green outline, and we do have heavy rain moving into those areas now. And they had a huge round of rain that came through this morning in these areas of Dickinson, Buchanan.
Absolutely. And then, of course, just this past weekend, we had those flood warnings that included the Clinch River and the Powell River, and they were out flooding out their banks, including, well, even the Mill Creek area was just flooded this past weekend. So torrential areas of rain moving into some of those same spots, honestly, that we really don't need the rainfall currently, but we're getting some torrential areas of rainfall currently.
Yep, and then I just want to point out that cell that we've been tracking northwest of Knoxville, that's been it's been warned for now for a tornado for a couple of hours. It's been a pretty persistent rotation. At one point, there was a debris signature that the Morristown National Weather Service had indicated, and that was I'm thinking about a half hour ago.
Yeah, they even had it tagged earlier with an observed tornado. I'm not sure what it's still currently showing. Probably radar indicated would be my thinking. But earlier it was an observed tornado just to the north and west of the Knoxville viewing area. So around Jellicoe, Tennessee, I believe it was.
Okay.
And also, just to briefly touch on, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning there for New Tazewell around that area. That's continuing to progress off to the east right now. Not tornado warned, but as it continues to progress to the east, we'll be watching Hawkins County. Eventually, it'll take some time, but it may eventually move into Hawkins County. It's just something we'll be kind of monitoring, some heavy areas of rain. And, of course, some winds potentially gusting upwards of 60. That's kind of what we're looking at in this zone currently right now.
And so... I was looking at something else there for a minute. Did you talk that the tornado warning now does include the western parts of Cott County? That storm that's bearing down on the Knoxville metro area currently.
Yeah. And they've extended, I mean, it goes well off. Eventually, it'll be moving into areas around Newport. It'll be about an hour-ish probably away from around the Newport area. But there's been a pretty strong couplet that's been showing up there just to the north and west of Knoxville.
Right near Powell. Mm-hmm. Just west of, just north of 25 west and north of this downtown Knoxville, but definitely in the metro part of Knoxville, we've got that pretty well-defined couplet with the wind fields there, the opposing wind fields of the red. and the green. And so I would probably think the tornado will be somewhere right in this general area. Don't you think? If it's on the ground, if there is one.
Correct. I guess real quickly too, if we can head back to Southwest Virginia, just do kind of like a real quick recap, kind of what we're looking at. This was still, we are monitoring this storm too, because eventually, as it moves out to the east, it could eventually be moving into areas around southern parts of Greene County. The main reason we're keeping our eye on that one. But even now, we still have those 2 tornado warnings, both for Scott back into, well, Lee County and extreme southern Wise County right now.
Yeah. So let's go ahead, and it looks like maybe might be more difficult to perhaps, I don't know, to see the couple of the shear here and the broad rotation.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it looks like it is, in my opinion, kind of broad. Right to the south and east of Dryden, somewhere around in this zone here for this one, right? And then this one over here looks pretty broad perhaps as well, but down there, west of Jonesville, or just to the south and west of Jonesville.
And then you were looking at the second one that's being warned for as well.
Correct.
In the northern part of Lee County. So we basically have 2 cells that have possible tornadoes with them, 2 parts of this storm. Like you said, looks like one here that's going to be pretty close to the, Dryden, kind of just to the west of Duffield, but Dryden area in that general zone right here, pushing off to the southeast, and then a little bit of more broad rotation here, but definitely it's visible on our wind speed and direction product here. But you're thinking, as I am too, probably somewhere in this zone right here.
Correct. That's what I believe as well.
Of Jonesville.
Something else I would like to mention, since this whole entire area is in the tornado warning, you see the polygon there that's issued. Of course, number one, ahead of it here, that would be the extent of where that tornado warning would extend to. Thankfully, it looks like we just got an update there. It looks like that may have dropped. Just includes, it looks like, over here to south and the east of Jonesville. So that's certainly good news.
Yeah, so the northern part of Lee County, that part of the tornado, that tornado warning dropped off just now. So we can maybe give not an all clear completely, because there's still stormy weather, but the potential for a tornado has just dropped sufficiently enough that they feel comfortable, the National Weather Service dropping the tornado warning.
Yeah, and that was on this one right about in here, kind of south and west of Big Stone Gap, but to the east of Pennington Gap. And not to talk too fast there. Hopefully I didn't. But you do notice that we still have that tornado polygon though right now that does include around the Jonesville.
This might be an update on that one, Kent.
Sounds good.
All right, so tornado warning remains in effect until 9:30 for south central Lee County. They kind of whittled away a little bit the real estate covered in that warning, but it still is a warning until 9:30, moving east at 35 miles per hour. So they said here, National Weather Service indicating the severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located over Jonesville, moving east at 35 miles per hour. So it's kind of in this general area right here, right over Jonesville, is where the tornado is likely, about somewhere in that zone there, it looks like, right?
Yeah, that would be correct. And I know, okay, obviously with tornadoes, a lot of times you get multiple vortices-like things. You can have different little spin-ups around that general area, but in general, this is the zone that we would be looking at, right? I would say right there, close to Jonesville.
Yeah, I would too right now, absolutely.
So absolutely, of course, if you're still in this warning zone, this part of Lee County around Jonesville, certainly seek shelter now. Don't wait. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, if you're watching, you're listening to the sound of our voices, you're going to be okay. Just make sure that you go to your tornado safe spot, whether it's in the interior room away from windows. If you got some pillows, absolutely. Bring some pillows close to you, especially your head. That's a good idea. And if you got a basement, even better, especially in this zone currently right here that includes the Jonesville area.
And that warning extends east and south in toward the Blackwater area, kind of rural sections, obviously, of Lee County. The United States Penitentiary, I believe that I got those letters correct. And then that is also within that warning. It looks like the Lee County Airport would be not so much in that danger zone right now, but any place that's kind of near, south, and then points east, northeast, southeast of Jonesville would still be under the pressure of possible tornado as this storm continues to push off to the southeast a little bit of that 35 miles per hour.
Also, we'll be tracking the storms, even if we're not we'll be on, of course, air here at 10 o'clock as well. But we're continuing to track these storms regardless on Facebook and our YouTube pages. So, of course, you can always turn there. And, of course, at 10 o'clock, WEMT, Fox 39, will, of course, have the latest on this forecast.
Well, we don't have a newscast on Fox.
Oh, sorry, guys, not on WEMT. So
did I say? Maybe I didn't misunderstood you.
No, you're good.
All right.
No,
All right,
my apologies.
Sorry.
No, but anyway, we are still tracking these storms on Facebook and our YouTube pages.
And so. Let's just see here. They're continuing that warning. The northern extent of these storms, just mainly heavy rain producers with some lightning now. We don't have any warnings north of that particular cell now. The severe thunderstorm warning into southern Wise, western Scott, and much of Lee County. And there's a small part of that cell that was showing that rotation, that there might be a possible tornado with that right near the Jonesville area, pushing to the east-southeast, and that warning continues in effect until 9:30. And then we've got it looks like a new warning kind of recently that just popped in, which takes that into Hancock County, a severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, and even right now, we still have those severe thunderstorm warnings that include western parts of Scott County, southern Wise County, and then that tornado watch box right there in parts of the heart of Lee County. The rest of a severe thunderstorm warning here all the way to about the western end. Then that falls off. And, of course, like you just mentioned there, that new severe thunderstorm warning taking this to Hancock County, right there at the Hawkins County line.
Right, and we can kind of investigate that because that one will be pushing into our viewing area of East Tennessee shortly. Let me put back on the radar and show you. That one also has tornado possible, so not a tornado warning per se, but enough rotation, enough stuff for the radar to kind of look at it and say, well, if it strengthens a little bit, get a little better rotation, it could turn into a tornado warning. But right now it's not. But could be wind up to 60 miles per hour and up to quarter-size hail or 1-inch diameter hail. And that's the storm that is moving into Hancock County, and we'll kind of get pretty close to Hawkins County here shortly as well. So we could probably do a track on that, Kit, and see what we have coming up. It's moving kind of southeast.
Let's see, what was it moving? 35 miles per hour, I think?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, 35 miles per hour here, I believe, the last update.
So approximately that in an hour.
So, yeah, we'll just kind of cover these times just real quick here. We got, Klondike looks like 9:33. Didn't mean to skip you there. Washburn, 9:20. Rutledge, 9:26. Is it Avondale Springs? I hope I'm saying that right. Anyway, 9:27. Mooresburg, about 9:36. These are general estimate of time, so it could vary just a little bit, certainly for your exact location. Rogersville, 9:45. Looks like perhaps into Russellville, 9:54. Bulls Gap, 10:01 if it holds together at the current strength, and also Bayleton, about 10:04.
So within an hour or less, it's going to be pushing into, now they just upgraded that to a tornado warning that does include parts of Hawkins County. So you saw that pop on, correct? So let's go ahead.
Yep, I see they've updated that to include western parts of Hawkins County.
Yep. And so there's that. All right, so this tornado warning, this does include the very lower southern end there of southwestern portion of Hawkins County, kids. So that is definitely in our viewing area. It also includes areas of Hamlin County as well, central Hamlin County. This one's moving east, it says at 45 miles per hour. So it's moving very quickly. So the severe storm capable of producing a tornado, this is a radar indicated tornado located near New Tazewell, and it is about 8 miles northwest of Rutledge and moving east at about 45 miles per hour. So this is a brand new tornado warning. This is in effect until 10 o'clock for parts of Hawkins County as well as Hamlin County in northeast Tennessee.
Yeah, I guess we'll just kind of hone in on that area where it's in that tornado warning zone here, mainly south and west, just barely south and west of Rogersville, and just barely, it looks like clips around the area of Morristown. The storm, though, itself still to the west, just barely moving to the south there of New Tazewell, pretty close to Thornhill. You do notice a little bit of a comma kind of shaped here, not overly broad, but you do at least notice that. Maybe it's not quite as pronounced. The general storm, though, is still right in there. I would say your tornado. Of course, we'll look at storm relative velocities.
But there's why we've got that warning
right
definitely.
There. That's a pretty good little couplet showing there on the storm relative velocities. You got the winds moving towards radar.
Right near Lone Mountain, Kit, is where that storm is located currently. That might have the tornadic. Well, might have a tornado. It's radar indicated, but roughly in this zone right there, I would suggest is where it is. Moving to the east southeast at about. Moving along pretty quickly at 45 miles per hour. So heads up as we get toward the end of this warning time frame, which is at 10 o'clock, that we're pushing into our portion of Hawkins County viewing area and into Hamlin County as well. So let's do a storm track and remind folks where we need, as far as staying safe and how to keep yourself as safe as possible during a tornado warning.
If you're in this tornado warning zone, go ahead and get to your safe spot, and that would be the most interior room of your home, definitely away from windows. As I know many of you already know, just get away from windows. If you got a pillow, something to kind of protect your head, a couple pillows, a helmet, not a bad idea in this scenario if you're in the warning zone. That's certainly back here towards the storm itself, but the whole warning zone, the storm's progressing to the east of, what do we say, 45. So anywhere in this warning zone, go ahead and get into your tornado safe spot. A basement is even more ideal, and certainly, if you can, go ahead and think about evacuating a mobile home now, get to a tornado safe spot. And of course, those are mobile homes never good in this type of situation.
I'm not giving myself enough space here to do this. Let me try this one more time.
Yeah, and you're still seeing that storm mainly still due northwest there of Thornhill, but it is progressing mainly to the east, 45 miles per hour there. You're still getting some heavy areas of rain. Even the severe thunderstorm warning area, you can still be seeing winds gusting up to 60 potentially outside of the tornado warning itself. So be on alert for that. Cover a couple times here. We have Bald Point, it looks like 9:20, Washburn 9:30, Rutledge about, this is approximate, so just a general time frame, but Rutledge 9:35. 9:38 looks like Lakemont, the cabin area. Morristown, obviously, 9:56. For our viewing area, Bulls Gap, 9:58. Mohawk, about 10:07. Mossheim, Tennessee, it would be around 10:12 for y'all folks there. Eventually to the Greenville Municipal Airport, they're about 10:20 is what we're thinking with this.
So this is a dangerous storm. Whether it's producing a tornado or not, we cannot say because it's radar indicated. But there could be perhaps 60-mile-per-hour winds as well with that storm.
Yeah, and even the storms have had some potential hail. We've seen that. Of course, you're seeing that even evidenced in the lightning because those hails can go up and down with the gravity pulling it back down, creates those positive, negative charges. And so this whole entire area here that is under the severe thunderstorm warning for extreme areas, I would say mainly just due west of Hawkins County. But however, the southern area of Hawkins County included in the tornado warning itself.
Exactly. And still that storm that's really right over Knoxville right now. And this has produced a tornado and has had damage with it over the course of the past couple of hours. And it looks like right now that tornado warning, as quickly as it's moving, extends up toward the Newport area.
And by the way, I just wanted to mention, when it comes to severe weather, though, not to just keep hashing over the same things, but, when it comes to people's safety, obviously people's safety during a storm is absolutely the priority. So not to be covering up other coverage, but yeah, we will definitely be on with this as we continue to talk about it. We're not going anywhere.
And at least as long as we've got the tornado warning, we will continue. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning, though, Kit, that does include the metro part of it, western part of it, which does head into parts of southern Scott, eastern Hawkins, western Sullivan and northwest Washington County. Let me bring that up over here. And this does include the Kingsport area.
Yeah, and this storm here now, it's of course given us a new severe thunderstorm warning here for the parts, even including Kingsport. Earlier, when it was in Kentucky, it was actually a tornado warning storm earlier. It's just kind of weakened.
Well, it was even up until a few minutes ago.
Correct. Yeah,
with Jonesville.
That's true.
That they allowed the tornado part of the severe weather to drop off the warning for tornadoes.
That's good news.
But still, they're extending the severe thunderstorm warning into the Kingsport area, which I can bring that up. This here is in effect until 10 o'clock. It does include the Kingsport area. It's not for the rain that's occurring over Kingsport right now. It is for that kind of Boeing line segment of the storm that's pushing through extreme southeast Lee and into southwestern Scott County.
And I believe visually we can see that too. It is more or less bowing out here now as it progressed past Jonesville, where we have that tornado warning, thankfully now expiring, but we do have the severe thunderstorm warning, like you mentioned now, that is extending even into the Tri-Cities, even into Kingsport. It's more of just, you're looking at kind of a messy convective area here where we have some winds, I'm sure, embedded winds up to 60 miles per hour, perhaps still some hail with this. And here's a general look at storm relative velocity showing the winds generally a few thousand feet up or so is kind of what we're looking at. It was a broad area of rotation back in this direction.
Yes, I mean, we definitely have lost the more dramatic tornadic signature look that it had maybe, at times as it came across Kentucky and even as it came into Lee County as well. Well, that's good news. I mean, that's what we want to see, and hopefully it doesn't wind itself back up into another tornado warning, because it's been kind of sporadic with this storm the whole evening for the past couple of hours. So we'll keep an eye on that. But that severe thunderstorm warning continues in effect until 10 o'clock for the Kingsport area now. It does also include Fall Branch and Churchill and Gate City and Clinchco and Burgoynesville. Does not include Rogersville, but it does include areas of Scott County also around Clinchport, along Highway 23, 11W, through Sullivan County. Good to be in your safe place. The storm is still a little ways away within, excuse me, is still a little bit ways to the northwest of Kingsport, but the part that would likely have the possibility of some damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour would be still to the northwest of Kingsport, kind of in this, what would you not say, probably in this zone here, Kit, kind of right through here.
Yeah, I believe the strongest of the winds would be located right along in this zone. Also, I mean, we've had a little bit of hail earlier with this, so be on alert for that. Could be some spots of hail. The strongest of the winds still associated in this zone. It looks like sorry, I'm losing my train of thought there. In Morristown, they were issuing this for up to 60 mile per hour winds is what I was trying to say.
And so now you can see this a little bit better. So it's just kind of this zone right here that is likely having, if we got some damaging thunderstorm winds, is probably that. And you can see that's still a little bit west of Kingsport and Churchill and Okolona and Gate City and Clinchco and so forth. But it is pushing off to the east-southeast pretty quickly at about 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, and even in these zones well out ahead of it, where we've seen some of this additional convective development, we're still seeing some heavy areas of rain here, even area-wide from Scott County points east, including Kingsport. Still has some heavy areas of rain indicated here in the oranges and the reds. That's where we're looking at some frequent heavy downpours. So, of course, being on the alert for that. Another thing to keep in mind with this system as it rolls through, if you see a flooded roadway, please turn around. Don't try to drive through a flooded roadway. We've already had areas of heavy rain, of course, earlier today, and this past weekend, too. We had some areas of heavier rain earlier in some of those flood warning zones. And of course, we'll kind of touch back on that here in just a little bit, just to look at the latest update. But we're still seeing some of that frequent heavy rain, downpours progressing to the east, even outside the warning zone. In the warning zone itself, that's where we're still looking at the potential for 60 mile per hour wind gust.
And we got the flash flood warnings also in effect for Dickinson and Buchanan counties. You were talking about not crossing flooded roadways. Harder really to recognize the dangers of flooding at night hard to see maybe some debris that might have come down, mountainside, and hard to see that on the road. Just kind of slow down as these areas of storms and showers continue to push through the Tri-Cities. Hopefully, you'll hear over the next hour, these will weaken as they move southeast into a little bit more stable air mass, perhaps, but they still are going gangbusters, especially the storms that are in northeast Tennessee are moving into northeast Tennessee. We got those 2 tornado warnings, one from the Knoxville area toward Dandridge. The other tornado warning still in effect for Hawkins County, the southwest parts, extreme southwest parts of Hawkins County, and a good part of Hamlin County. That tornado warning is in effect until 10 p.m. So for a while longer here. Radar indicated tornado, not one that's been confirmed, but this does include areas just to the southwest of Rogersville and moving to the southeast, east-southeast at about 40 miles per hour.
Yeah, so obviously we still have our eye on that. And it's continuing to progress off to the east. Both of these storms are. I mean, the one closer to Newport and then the one that's, of course, the tornado warning that includes Morristown, points north and west. Kind of keeping our eye on that just to see if there's going to be any weakening, re-strengthening, because that would eventually take a little bit of time, but eventually would go back into Greene County. So something else we're kind of keeping our eye on.
And so here, that's still got very, well-defined couplet there in the wind field pattern.
Yep, the green's winds moving towards radar, the reds indicating winds moving away from radar. And what does that look like there? I was just trying to give a kind of an estimate of the gate-to-gate shear.
I can probably pull up wind speed.
Yeah.
43.
43.
And then 45.
Okay.
So, I mean,
it's a pretty good wind field.
Yeah.
So your gate-to-gate shear would be right about 90 miles per hour.
Right.
That would certainly put into, I mean, if it actually mixes all the way to the surface, if something were to reach to the surface, could be. Right now, like I said, radar indicated, but assuming this is all the way to the surface, you need to treat it like that. Also, I mean, we could be looking at, if it mixes all the way down, winds potentially in a tornado up to 85, 90 miles per hour if it were all the way down to the surface.
Let's go ahead. So that the dangerous part of the storm is near Thorn Hill. Still outside of Hawkins County, but you can see we're getting pretty close here because there's Mooresburg, and we got Russellville and Bulls Gap, and of course we're talking areas in Hamlin County there. There's Morristown, but Bulls Gap, and eventually, as you're talking about, that would be heading toward Greene County as well.
Yeah, and there's of course, like you mentioned, Dave, there's the Bulls Gap area just outside of that zone. So I think you said too, the storm is progressing, to the east at 45
Yeah,
miles per hour?
They've been fluctuating when these warnings come out between 35 and 45 miles per hour. Let's see what we got here.
I think we just got another update. So obviously, if it continues at its current strength, it would eventually, potentially, reissue a warning there that would include Bulls Gap, perhaps down the road. Still speculating here. It's not happened yet.
Into Greene County, perhaps. We would definitely be settling into Greene County. It just depends on whether or not we still have a tornado warning with it or not.
Correct.
At that point. But certainly that tornado is possible with this storm and is moving just to the southeast, looks like now, Thorn Hill, and we'll be pushing closer here to Cherokee Lake and these areas near the Hamlin and Hawkins County line here shortly.
So, like you mentioned, this is the polygon here showing that's your warning zone, obviously. As you already know, we do have the severe thunderstorm warning zone here in the yellow color, but it looks like the majority of the storm potentially showing the tornado signature would be back around here, around the Thorn Hill area currently, because that's where you're seeing the strongest winds, like you're showing here. The winds moving away from radar and the winds towards the radar. Those two together forming a tight couplet, and at this point, that would be your potential tornado signature.
Yep. You get the radar back on here. We'll do a little storm track on this, and so we'll go up here from just southwest of Rogersville to near Rutledge. And I guess it's kind of moving a little bit south of east. I guess that's pretty close.
Sounds pretty good to me. So giving you kind of an estimate of times here.
I kind of messed that up. I don't want to.
Oh, you're good. No, so yeah, still the tornado warning, though, the polygon there in the red to the west of Bulls Gap. Assuming this holds its current strength, not saying it will, but it may. Here's your areas that you would be, well, that would be impacted here over the next hour. So number one, Mooresburg, about 9:31. A general estimate of time. Russellville down about 9:49. Looks like Bulls Gap about 9:55. North Green High School 10:01. Mohawk about 10:07. Mossheim 10:10 p.m. Mount Pleasant 10:19. Sorry, I don't mean to stutter over that. My brain's getting tired. Anyway, then Greenville 10:26 and Lamar 10:32.
Of course, by the time you get into Lamar, you're talking, Washington County, Tennessee at that point. So moving pretty fast. Not saying it's still going to be a tornado warning, but it's moving definitely into the metro. In fact, we were not long ago concentrating on that storm that's coming fast and furious toward the Kingsport area. And looks like now the dangerous part of the storm that might have those gusts of up to 60 miles per hour getting closer to Kingsport here. So,
to touch on that, the severe thunderstorm warning does include from Gate City, so southern parts of Scott County, all the way down into Hawkins here in the extreme western parts of Sullivan County. I mean, we're seeing that heavy area of rain, some of that wind. I'm sure some of that probably is mixing down to the surface. You see around Kingsport. Still, I think it looks like the heaviest band there still kind of west of Kingsport and Churchill.
Yeah, I put that tracker right on the leading edge of that kind of Boeing little line segment of the storm. That's probably where those stronger winds are. So that's where I started this track. That's showing up right now.
Yeah, and there's just kind of a general estimate of times. Like I said, I know it'll vary for your exact location, but I mean, from Weber City, already starting around 9:35, and if it continues at its current strength with progress and speed, we'll be down to the Tri-Cities about 10:13 around the airport, 10:24 for Bluff City, assuming it stays at this current pace.
And I just heard a crack of thunder here downtown Bristol, so I mean, we've got non-severe storms at this point also playing out across. Oh, so we've got a confirmed probably a debris signature. We were talking about that storm that was really showing pretty intense.
So,
all right, so let's go ahead and bring that warning up. You can see the color of the tornado warning has turned kind of purple on us here, which indicates that we've got some sort of confirmation, and most likely from I'm reading here from the National Weather Service, a debris signature showing up on radar. Let's see if we can find that kit, and that's indicating that they're confident that there is, or at least has been, a tornado with that storm as it's been moving southeast, getting very close to Hawkins County right now, and also Hamlin County.
Yeah, and the warning still extends mainly from Morristown points north, but like you said, now we've got something where they're saying that it's been observed with that debris ball signature. I guess we'll see if we can
find that. Let's do the velocity on it first and see where that debris or that the signature is right now. Get a new scan.
Looks kind of broad from the velocity standpoint. I mean,
let me put the coefficient on here. There we go.
As you're doing that, the storm relative velocity is basically showing the main area of rotation, though, would be around the Thornhill area. Okay, here's we have something interesting. So would that be?
All right, so this is again where we were talking about, what does the debris signature mean? It means that the radar is looking into the storm and determining what is kind of anomalous to what would normally be in a thunderstorm as far as size of particles or size of objects that might be within the storm. And I'm assuming that perhaps that debris signature might be right here. Do you think so?
I believe you are correct. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at there. And like you mentioned, the DBZ values that you're looking at, perhaps even on your radar app, would be varying. They'll be different significantly from these areas that are just completely red. So what you're noticing here, not only is it showing up different mathematically, but you're also seeing it visually here. It's a different color. It looks like the yellows and greens right here, just to the south and east of Thornhill. Looks like that would be the debris ball signature.
Yeah, so I mean, this obviously a very dangerous storm, continuing to get closer to Hamlin County and also Hawkins County, just to the southeast there of Thornhill. We've had that radar confirmed tornado due to this debris signature. Let's see, we're getting a new scan. Let's see if it still will show up there. Looks like maybe we don't have that debris signature anymore with this new scan update.
Okay. That would be good.
Yeah. That would be good, and hopefully that is the case. But nonetheless, there for a little while, there was a debris signature showing up on radar.
Yeah, and certainly have to treat that as something significant when radar is actually picking up something different. That's not rain, not hail, but actually something different that's actually being represented differently visually. You know something is going on. Something is being lofted into the atmosphere that really ought not to be, is what we're saying in this case. Still, though, we have that tornado warning, though, that's knocking right at the door, pretty close to Greene County. Maybe not quite all the way into Greene County yet, but the storm still, at this point, looks pretty strong to me at right now.
And so let's put the velocity on here. Maybe not as strong a velocity signature that we were looking at earlier. That would be good if it's showing some weakening signs on that, respect or regard to the wind field and the couplet that we saw that was really well defined maybe about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see it as much now. I mean, it's still, you can still see why we have that tornado warning in effect, but certainly with that debris signature, that was right up here. The debris signature is right to this. That's where that signature was. I would say the potential tornado has come down quite a bit significantly to the south and east, and right through here. So we're getting clobbered now. So, Cherokee Lake area of, Hawkins County and getting close to Hamlin County as well. So folks in Hawkins County, within that warning, it's not a very big part of Hawkins County that has the tornado warning. It's just kind of in this area right here around Mooresburg. That's a tornado warning. And we also have Russellville, and just down to as far southwest as Morristown. St. Clair Elementary School in Hawkins County is in that tornado warning as well. So the far southwest portion of Hawkins County under that tornado warning. And like we said, it looks like we've got there's been some damage, whether to property or to trees or whatever, we don't know. But the Doppler radar was indicating debris signature within the storm itself as of just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, and of course, within the next coming day or two, the National Weather Service will, of course, go back and survey the damage and give us the official report. But nonetheless, yeah, something being observed that's being, well, like I said, kind of lofted into the atmosphere that should not be. And we're still seeing that, at least right now, the tornado warning's still here, but like we just mentioned, I think at least storm relative velocities kind of showing maybe a little broader area of rotation. Not sure if it's weakening perhaps, or if it's maybe just kind of going through a cycle. That happens a lot with tornado signatures. Another thing, I know we mentioned this earlier, but it's dark. A significantly more dangerous time during storms like this. And another thing, people are a lot of times trying to get out there, trying to look at the tornado. Another thing to keep in mind is a lot of times these things can be rain wrapped, especially across the southeast. It's typically a high precipitation type system. And of course, we got plenty of rain here being indicated on radar.
And, just a heads up, if, as we're getting, closer to 10 o'clock in the evening, a lot of folks may have already retired for the evening, gone to bed. And excuse me, if you have, some friends or some family members that are kind of in line for this storm, and you're not sure whether they got the warning or have a way to get the warning, give them a call, give them a heads up that this storm is coming in their directions from, right over Mooresburg right now and extending down toward the Hamlin County line there around Cherokee Lake, and is moving pretty rapidly southeast at about east-southeast at about 45 miles per hour. Still could be a tornado with this cell. We've already had confirmation, radar confirmation of a tornado, and so this is a very dangerous storm. So, like I said, if you may not even live near this cell, but you know someone that lives in Bulls Gap or Mossheim or perhaps areas that we're going to be getting impacted by the storm here over the next hour, give them a heads up that it's coming, and take the necessary precautions to keep you and your family safe. And of course, we can go through the obvious, but good to kind of remind folks where a good place to be in an event that a tornado is happening.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're just joining our coverage, just kind of a quick reminder, I know many of you already know this, but when it comes to a tornado warning, I know it's a fairly isolated thing, but take it seriously. Make sure to go to the lowest level of your home, potentially, usually the basement's the best case scenario, but if not, an interior room, away from windows, a key factor. So definitely do that. If you got some pillows, blankets, something to kind of protect your head, a helmet, don't be afraid to do that. By all means, if you're in the warning zone, go ahead and do that. Of course, now, if you're ahead of this, you're in the warning zone, but a little bit ahead of that signature, go ahead and evacuate mobile homes. That is not a safe place to be during a tornado.
And, of course, you can always get the latest alerts on our Storm Track 5 mobile app, and that is good for, leave it on, make sure it's on if you're heading off to bed and you're not sure if the storms are coming. Excuse me. That's a good way to, and plus the NOAA weather radio, if you have one of those, that's another good way to be informed of severe weather as it comes in.
Yeah, it's a great free resource too. Not something that we charge for. It's free. You can set it for your individual county. So your location, if you're in Bristol, set it up for that. Or heck, if you're in Lee County, Rose Hill, you can set up your exact location. You'll get an alert on your phone when you're under any kind of warning, and you can set it up. You can customize it too for in this case tornado warnings.
So let me go ahead and I'm going to check and remind viewers how they also can, if it's safe to do so, if they've got storm damage, they can upload pictures and video to our Chime In app.
Yep, WCYB.com/chime in. We try to get, of course, as many of those photos as we can on TV. If not, we'll post them sometimes on social media. And when it's safe to do so, I have to emphasize that. Do not try something when it's not safe. I would not attempt anything at all with a system like this. But if you got some good photos, afterwards the storms move through, some hail, by all means, send those photos.
I was going to check do you want to talk about a little bit about this? I'm just going to look see if we got anything from on our.
Okay, yeah, while you're doing that, number one, I'll touch on a couple different things. Of course, first of all, with this observed tornado where we have that observed debris ball signature, something we're still monitoring, still just barely north and west of Greene County. That's progressing off to the south and east at about, I believe that was 45 miles per hour. So we're still keeping our eye on that. Doesn't mean that it would hit Greene County with a tornado warning, but still, that's a strong storm that will be moving off to the east-southeast. System number 2 here we're looking at, the storm right over Kingsport. There's definitely some bright banding kind of showing up here on the radar with those reds, those oranges outside of the winds that could be gusting to 60 miles per hour around Sullivan County. You could also be looking at potentially heavy areas of rain. So that's another thing. We've already had a lot of rain earlier today in some areas, not necessarily Tri-Cities, but some areas had heavy rain earlier, especially Southwest Virginia. And this weekend, you're getting a lot of heavy rain here, Southwest Virginia, back down to Sullivan County, even Johnson County getting some of that rain. And of course, Kingsport under that severe thunderstorm warning.
And I just got a word here from the National Weather Service that, okay, so this is regarding that, all right, first off, the storm in Granger County that has that tornado warning with it right now, they're going to replace that with a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag on it. But some not so good news here. I'm looking at the another chat here from the Weather Service in Morristown that amateur operators in Sevierville now near downtown reporting several emergency vehicles heading toward Kodaks. I don't know what that is, but there has been that tornadic cell moving through the Knoxville area. Okay, so they did replace that tornado warning with a severe thunderstorm warning. We just got that added on there, Kit.
Yeah, and that, well, I hate to hear that. But anyway, like with the severe thunderstorm warning, though, at least on a good note here, at least they're not extending that. At least currently right now, the tornado warning not extending into Greene County. That it will be just a severe thunderstorm warning. Still, like you mentioned there a little bit ago, still have our eye on this one cell that's just to the south of Greene County, too. If that were to hold together, not saying it would that maybe just barely clip Greene County?
Yeah, it looks like it could potentially. I'm thinking the tornadic part of that is on the, that's still looking pretty nasty.
Wow.
And so the information I was getting from the National Weather Service, that they were getting reports of emergency vehicles, several heading toward Kodak. And so this just came over.
That's not good. The
Kodak area. And of course, this isn't in our viewing area, but it is heading toward Cobb County. That's where that tornado is right now, if there's one on the ground, off to the southeast of Knoxville, but to the north of Sevierville. Would you say that probably somewhere in this general area right here is where that tornado is?
Absolutely, absolutely. Looking at some very bright colors there, and the opposing directions, because the red, obviously the brighter red's indicating winds moving away from radar. The greens, the blues, strong winds moving towards the radar. So yeah, the couplet's tight. You've got it right on top of each other here. That's a pretty strong, I would term as gate-to-gate shear. That's actually, I mean, if this is the case, as the National Weather Service has said, look at that.
So that darker shade of blue is not, it's just a couple of pixels, but nonetheless, there's at least a small portion of that wind field at 101 mile per hour.
That is not good. And you would combine the two together to get your gate-to-gate shear, the red, the blues there. 101 on top of the 50-something, that's not good. That is substantially a strong tornado signature. Obviously not in our viewing area, thankfully, but this, like you mentioned, Kodak, Tennessee. So yeah, that is a strong tornado signature.
And so that is heading toward Cobb County. It looks like the tornadic cell, part of this storm, would not be coming into Greene County. Good. Even though the polygon, the tornado warning itself, would maybe next move put it into extreme southern Greene County. But the tornado itself is in this general area here, if there is one, and it's moving right through here, and it's moving off to the southeast at about 40 miles per hour, 45 miles per hour. So it's heading directly into Cobb County here over the next 15 minutes to a half hour.
Yeah, one thing about it, yes, is certainly a tight couplet. And like you mentioned, though, heading mainly towards Cobb County, so east-southeast. Looks like it would stay mainly south of Greene County, so some good news there. We do still have that severe thunderstorm warning, but look at that. Look at how the radar's picking up on that. That's textbook.
Yeah, that's classic.
That's
signature.
Classic right there.
Yeah, and I bet we're going to have some tornado damage reports from this cell. It's already been, we've seen debris signature. Doppler radar confirmed tornado, but some ground reports around Kodak potentially don't know if those rescue vehicles or emergency vehicles were headed toward tornado damage or wind damage, but it seems like it might be a possibility with that that signature, the couplet, that wind couplet, very well defined as it was coming over Kodak and still is at this hour.
Your tornado would be down in here. Your forward flank downdraft, I'm not to nerd out with you all here, but this is a classic supercell. This is absolutely textbook. You would have your hail signature mainly right here with the pink, the forward flank downdraft way over here, and then over right in this general area, that would be your tornado. Being just indicated by radar, not even looking at storm relative velocities or even correlation coefficients.
Well, we could throw that on there here real quick to see if there is any debris
crazy.
Signature.
There you go.